Hello, happy Tuesday. I am hoping that you are having a great start to your week, getting used to this staying at home, right? So it's about 12:30 p.m. Eastern time here in sunny North Carolina. Weather's nice today, thank goodness. So I am going to, hey Heidi, thanks for watching, joining us today. I am going to share with you guys this card here today. So this is a fun watercolor technique that we're going to do. And we are going to be featuring the To a Wild Rose stamp set. Hey Kay, glad you can make it today. So this is one of the cards that will be a bonus for my Forget-Me-Not card club that will come out at some point, probably next month for them. But I wanted to share a little bit about my club with you so that you know about it and know all the awesome things that we do in the club. So our monthly card club, this was the April card. So we did this one and this one, that one, that's one of my favorites. And then this one I haven't posted on my blog yet. So this is a fun fold, a spanner panel card. So anyway, we do cool fun folds and techniques each month. There's 4 featured, hey Amelia, hey Tammy. There's 4 featured cards each month, and they'll either be fun folds or lots of layers, typically techniques. So we try to mix it up each month. So it is a more advanced class, but I do have, in addition to my local face-to-face option, I do have an online option, a couple of online options. And I'm sharing this with you today because I wanted you to know I just updated my product option so that when you make your monthly product club order, you automatically get the make and take packets in the mail for free from me as a thank you for participating in club. And I always send everybody a little thank you card each month as well. So anyway, so this is an example of a card that you might see in Forget-Me-Not as well. It's a little simpler as far as all my layers go, but it does feature a technique. So this is one of the bonus projects that they get for free each month. So currently I'm posting about 12 bonus projects for them each month. And then we do a Facebook Live every Tuesday evening to talk about and put together our club cards. So, all right, let's get started on this one because this is what we're here to do today. All right, so I am starting off with my card layers here, and I'll post this in the header of the video after we're done. It'll take me a few minutes to pull it all in and type it in, but I'll give the complete supply list. Hey, Ginger. Complete supply list, cut dimensions, everything that you need. I do have a host code that you can use to order today if you would like to get the make and take packet in the mail from me as a gift. If you join my Forget-Me-Not card club, I will also send you the make and take packet in the mail. So anyway, all right. So we're going to start off with a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of soft seafoam. So this is our card base. We've got a piece of 5.25 by 2.5 designer series paper, and this is from the, I'm going to say this wrong. It is the Garden, oh poo, I didn't write it down. I'll have to pull it out and see what that is. It's greens. There's lots of greens in it. So it's in the annual catalog. I cannot remember the name of it. And I hate that I missed writing that down. Anyway, okay. So there's your designer paper. You've got a 4 3/4 by 3/4 inch strip of Mossy Meadow and a 4 1/4 by 1/2 inch strip of Sahara Sand. And then I've got a 3.5 by 1 inch strip of Whisper White. That's for our sentiment. And then on the inside, we've got a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of Whisper White and a 5 1/4 by 1 1/4 inch piece of designer series paper. So those are our main layers that we're going to work with. And then I've also got some die cut layers. So I've done this ahead of time. So I've got a Whisper White circle, and I use the largest circle in the Stitch Shapes dies. This is one of my go-to die sets. If you don't have this one, it's worth the investment to add this to your supply list. It's a really great die set, and again, I use it all the time. So I use the largest circle to cut that out for us today. Then I took a piece of 3" by 1.5" Mossy Meadow cardstock, and I used the toawildrose die. So I used this leaf here and cut out 2 of those. So we will use those on our project today. And then I am going to show you, I used a piece of 5" by 3¼ of the fluid watercolor paper, and I'm going to stamp and die cut 2 flowers out of it. And then you will need some of the, and I'm not seeing it on my table. Here it is, 4½ inches of the lace ribbon and about 19 inches of the linen thread. Okay, so I'm going to move all this out of the way and we'll get started. Garden Lane, thank you, Glenda. I could not think of that to save my life. Thank goodness there's smarter people listening than what I am, right? You guys are so good to me. All right, so I'm going to start off with my So Saffron cardstock base. Not So Saffron. Jeez, soft sea foam. It's green, not yellow. Okay, we're going to fold that in half. Gave it a good crease with my bone folder. And then I have got my Designer Series paper. And I'm going to start off and I'm going to put this ribbon down. Just lay that right across my paper. I'm using up some of my Fast Fuse still, so I'm just going to lay that strip. And then I'm just really going to just lay this right down in that adhesive there. So that'll catch that up. All right, perfect. So then the next thing I want to do is go ahead and lay down my Mossy Meadow strip. So we'll just go ahead and slide some adhesive on that. And I am just putting that right at the top of that ribbon there. Okay, now I could take my twine. Now, you could cut this off ahead of time if you want to. Again, it's about 19 inches that I used. Or you can leave it attached to the spool. I like to leave it attached to the spool if I can. It just makes it a little easier for me to handle. So I've wrapped it around my layer. And I'm just going to tie a little bow. Darn it, my fingers are not cooperating with me today. All right, and I'm just holding the center of that loop while I pull those ends so that my bow looks a little bit nicer, because it was a little wonky there, wasn't it? Okay, and then we'll just cut off our ends and move that out of the way. And then I want this bow at the closer to the end, so I'm just going to slide this. I don't usually worry about where that bow ends up when I'm tying it. I'm just going to slide that around until I get it where I want it. Much easier to deal with. Okay, so now we're ready to adhere this layer right down on our card front. So I will plop that down right at the bottom. I hope I'm in camera and you guys can see me. I feel like I've got lots of extra shadows going on today that I don't normally have, and I'm not sure why. But, okay. So, looks like I might need to go up a little bit so that you guys can see a little bit better. I'll watch that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to take my circle that I've got here, and I'm going to go ahead and lay this down, and I'm going to use dimensional dots on the back of it. So I used a scrap, so you can see I use my scrap paper, so when I mess up and I throw it to the side, I still use the other side to make my projects. I don't know if you do that, but I don't like to waste it if I can get something out of it. So I'm actually going to turn it so that it's going to be covered, because I don't know if you can see that a little bit. So I'm just going to lay that down, and that's popped up on the card front here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is put down my Sahara Sand strip and just lay that right across there. So we'll put a little adhesive on that. Now, I think I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of dimensional dots on the ends of this strip here, where it extends beyond the circle, just to give it a little bit of stability. So it's going to be flat on the circle itself and then popped up on the ends, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I think I'm happy with that. Might have my circle down a little bit further than I might have wanted it, but that's all right. Okay, let's get into, nope, let me go ahead and lay the leaves down. I'm going to go ahead and lay these down. So I had trouble with getting the leaves to look the way I wanted them to look, so I cut out 2, and I'm going to snip off a petal off of each one of them, because I don't really need it. And then I'm just going to lay some adhesive right up here and lay that right down in it. So I'm going to put one there, And then I'm going to put one sticking out a little bit more like that. And hopefully those will be in a good place when I lay out my flowers. If not, we can mess with them. All right, so let's do the watercoloring technique. I'm going to slide that over so you guys can see me really well. So I am using the image that has the outline from the To a Wild Rose stamp set. So that is this image here, okay? And I am stamping in Sahara Sand ink. Now you could stamp off and make this lighter. I actually wanted to see the lines. So this is similar to a no-line watercoloring, but I actually wanted to keep a little bit of my lines in there, so I'm not stamping off because I want to be able to see that. I tried it with no lines and I didn't. I don't think I'm a strong enough watercolorer to do it that way. So that's what I'm going to do here. Now I've taken an old plastic container and dropped a couple of drops of Mary Merlot ink down inside of it. And I'm taking an aqua painter and I am just going to watercolor my petals. So I found that I worked better if I did every other petal so that they did not bleed together. So I'm just going to color that, and if I feel like that's too dark, I forgot to get a towel, I can rub off some of that ink and then just apply water to scribble that out a little bit. Cool? And then if you want to add a little bit more color, just add some more in there and kind of outline that. And put a little bit deeper here. The more liquid you use, the more it's going to bleed out. I'm going to go ahead and move over to this next one. Color that in a little bit. Add a little water here. Bleed that out a little bit. So this can be very relaxing to do, and this can also drive you a little bit crazy. It depends on where your mind is and what your mood is of that moment that you're doing this. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit more water on here. I want this to bleed a little bit, at least within the petal itself. So let's see if I've got enough liquid there that it will if I apply some of that down in there. A little bit. I might have diluted my, there we go. I'll let that sit for a minute and see what that does. All right, I'm going to come over to this petal. Ooh, lots of ink there. Let's take some of that out. I like to work lighter and add color versus trying to strip color out. It's a lot easier. Okay, so I kind of like how cool that is. I'm just going to soften it just a bit. But I'm going to leave that like that. I think that's kind of nifty. All right. So hopefully you get the point of what I'm doing. I'm not going to make you suffer through and watch me watercolor every petal on 2 flowers. But I'll have you... I will finish one of them. So this is one I did earlier. And then here's another one that I started. I'm going to go ahead and finish this one out. And I've already die cut these. So I already told you, I think I used the coordinating Wild Rose dies. So I'm just going to lay, since I know I've got these petals right here, I'm going to quickly just lay in some of this light color on all of them because I know that they're not touching anything else that's wet. And just go ahead and add in some of this color real quick. Now I'm going to be sad that these aren't dry, probably. I should have done 2 that were ready to just put together so you guys wouldn't have to wait for it to dry. Yeah, I really like how that bleeds out like that. I just think that's really neat. Very cool. Put a little more moisture in there, a little more depth and color. I want a little bit more right on this so that that petal looks like it's underneath. Okay, so we'll let that dry. I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to turn out different every time you do it, but I think it's kind of fun to play with. All right, so I wanted a little more depth in the center of the flower, so I'm going to use some early espresso and the flower center stamp from the same stamp set. And just add that in there. Isn't that nice? It just adds a really nice detail, I think. We'll see if this one bleeds. It might bleed because it's wet. So we'll see what happens. Really, it would be better to let it dry. But that wouldn't be any fun for today, right? Okay, so I'm going to take the back flower or what I'm deeming to be the black flower, and I'm going to adhere this right on here. And so I can kind of place this and turn this so that I'm happy with how my leaves stick out. So I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back of it where it's going to, whoops, out of adhesive on that one. Alrighty. Put some adhesive where it's going to adhere right to the circle. And if you wanted to put some dimensional dots out here where it's hanging over the circle, you can do that. That'll give it a little bit of stability out there since we've got our different heights going on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I can place this. I think I'm happy with that. I'm not over top of it, so it's a little hard to see, but I think I'm going to be happy with that. All right, I'm going to set this aside. Let this dry for a few more minutes. You can see where that brown's bleeding a little bit, where that was still wet, but we'll set that aside and we'll do our sentiment. So I've got my Whisper White layer and I'm using the Mossy Meadow ink. And we're going to ink up the Blessed and stamp that right down on there. Perfect. All right, put that away so I don't put my arm in it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere this right over the top of this flower so that only the portion that I want showing is sticking up, and then I'm going to clip off what's hanging down below because I don't really want that. I could leave it. It doesn't look bad, but I don't know that I want it, so I'm going to get rid of it. All right, so we'll put some snail adhesive on the back. Get that where we want that. I think I like that. And then we'll just snip away what's hanging down below that we don't want. And then I'm going to use dimensional dots to pop this up on the back. So I'm just using the regular sized dimensional dots for today. You could use the minis if you prefer those. And I'm going to be excessive. I'm putting 5 on there. I like to make sure things aren't going to go anywhere. And I'm a big fan of dimensional dots. All right, so we're going to lay that down. Sorry, make sure that I'm in screen here so you can see it. Lay that down. I'm happy with that. Cute, right? All right, let's add a little bling. Got to have some bling. So I am using the basic adhesive backed sequins. Getting out my handy dandy take your pick tool that I now know how to use, thank goodness. And let's see if I can actually get it to work. All right, yes, maybe. Okay, I got one, and I'm just gonna lay that sequin down there. Sometimes these adhesive backs I have a little trouble with. Put one there, and I'll put one right there. So it's similar to the original card. Not exactly the same, but that's okay. All right, so now that our card front's done, we can work on the inside. So for the inside, I'm going to slide that back over. I've got my Whisper White layer and my designer paper. So I like to bring the design to the inside if at all possible, and designer paper is an easy way to do that. So that's down. And then we are going to bring back out our Mossy Meadow and stamp our sentiment for the inside. Make sure I don't do it upside down. Oh, I really can't see this. Well, hopefully I'm straight and somewhat over. Not too bad for not being able to see it. I'll take it. I don't know how some of these people do this on camera when you can't see what you're doing. But, all right. We are going to adhere this down. I'm getting excessive with that adhesive. We'll slide this on the inside. Perfect. So great. Blessed to know you. Fun, right? So you could change up, this stamp set has several great sentiments. So you could change it up for many occasions to send to somebody. Let them know that you're thinking about them for birthday, just lots of different occasions that you could use this for. So, and you could use this watercoloring technique on a lot of different things as well. So hopefully you liked this one today and that you will give it a try. Yes? Beautiful? Okay. So don't forget, I will, anybody that places an order using the host code that I'm going to provide, again, I will add that in the header of the video after the live, along with the supply list and the cut dimensions, so you'll have all of that. Again, if you either place the order or if you join my online card club, either the product club or the tutorial club, I will mail you this packet. Now, if you live outside the US, you can join the tutorial club. I'll have to evaluate if I can mail you the packet or not. I think I can, but it might depend on where you're at. So anyway, we can work that out though. All right. Thanks so much. I hope everybody's having a great week and we get some good weather that we can enjoy and we have time to do some fun crafting. Thanks so much and we'll see you next Tuesday. Good night. Bye.